Hi, welcome to a special bonus episode of My Favorite Mistake. I'm your host, Mark Graban. We are joined, returning to the podcast is our guest, Andrea Jones. She is the principal of AJC, and she's CEO of the Executagility Company. She was our guest here on My Favorite Mistake, episode 105. And we're getting together again because she is now the author of a book titled The Executagility Field Guide: How Busy Teams Can Execute Growth Plans. So, Andrea, welcome back to the podcast. How are you?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I didn't make too bad of a mistake saying executagility. I think I got.
You got it right. Yes.
Okay. So maybe I think that's one answer to the question of, it's just in general before we talk about the book, what's new with you and your business since you were with us back in September 2021?
Gosh, it's been such a long time. I moved across the
Yeah.
country. We thought that was a mistake for a little while, but it turned into a good thing. So that was good.
You moved west to east, right?
Correct. Yeah. And also diagonal. So from Portland, Oregon to Orlando, Florida.
Big difference.
And, yeah, big difference, but fun for everybody. We have been adding principals with AJC Company. So people who are delivering strategic work as well as doing business development and bringing in new business for the company. So that has changed. And we are offering now this executagility model in a coached fashion, which led to the book. And I know we'll talk about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm glad your assessment now is that moving wasn't a mistake. It's hard moving, whether it's across town or across the country.
Yeah. We figured if we were going to do it, we might as well go all in.
Yeah. So tell us more then about the book, or maybe even, I'm sure it ties in the story. Let me ask you a different question that'll probably lead to you talking about the book. What do you mean by executagility?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So when you make up a word and register it, which we have that word registered as a trademark, you get to make up what it means as well. So executagility, although the word is hard to say, the definition is very simple. It's a company's ability to execute its growth plans. So if you're thinking about a business that's operating in a certain way, and of course it wants to be growing in either a more profitable revenue standpoint or happier customers, happier employees, some form of growth in running in a different way, executagility, it's an ability to get there. Can we do it?
So what types of companies are you teaching that model to and coaching people through?
We are mostly looking at mid-life cycle companies. And by mid-life cycle, I mean not startup initial phase and not enterprise level mature, but the companies that are in the middle, from that sort of crossing the chasm. They have product market fit and they're really trying to grow and scale, accelerate, and get to the point where they could be considered larger and maybe more stable. And those companies have a distinct characteristic, which is they typically do not have what we call a project management office or a full dedicated full-time team of people who are only working on those growth projects. And so executing them becomes very challenging because their team that they need to have help with putting in a new ERP or even developing new products and services and pitching those to market, improving the market plan or whatever it might be, those people are also the same people who handle the day-to-day work. So are handling their current customers, delivering their current products and services, and maintaining the business so that you still have a going concern while you're trying to grow that business as well. And they don't have full-time teams doing that. So that's really the target audience for the executagility model.
Yeah. And so then, tell us the story about the book, because that's a big undertaking. That's a big project. Maybe you apply the executagility model to the writing and release of a book on that model. Was that a little too recursive or?
Actually, Mark, that's a really good point. We did apply it, and I'll explain how. So the model itself considers, like I said, that sort of in-between growth phase company. And we know from experience, because AJC Company has served that demographic for the last 19 plus years, that those people typically need help with project management. They don't always think of the fact that you need a glue person, right? Like a person who I say dries clear at the end of the day, to bring the team together, make sure they know what they're doing, they stay on task and don't get distracted by the day-to-day, and accomplish the results that the leadership team or the organization is really expecting. It's very, again, hard to do that if you don't have a dedicated team overall, but especially a real project manager. So we've seen this. This is where AJC has offered support for forever. And what we learned about, actually, it was right after you and I met the first time to speak, we learned that we can teach that model to other companies so that they can have that capability, because the project manager is such a critical role. Again, it's invisible at the end of the day. They're not the person who did the coding or connected the dots or developed the product, the new product or service, but they're the ones that got the team together to do it. And so we articulated the process. And when it came to writing the book, part of the process is to identify 4 pillars. Is the company aligned on what the goals are for the immediate term, really the definition of done for this term, what the priority order is for the projects, because companies can't do everything at once as much as they might want to, and who specifically is doing what within the project, and then a little bit on why that project's important. That's the first pillar, the alignment. The next one is available time. That really allows you to define the volume of project work you're undertaking simultaneously, to think about who are the humans that I expect to work on these projects. And, since they do have day jobs, do they have too much? Is it realistic to expect them to fulfill the day job and keep our current customers happy and do 5 projects on top of that? Or should we only assign them maybe 2? So that's the available time pillar. The competence is the one that really helped us with the book, I would say, which is we've hired these human beings with a certain job description to do the work today. We're pretty sure they can still do the work in the future state, when it's improved, but can they do the growth work, the in between, right? And maybe a good example might be if we're trying to add an AI chatbot to our website, do they know how to do that, or do we have to outsource that? And for us with the book, we call that the competence pillar. I recognize my own shortcomings. I tried to write a book back in 2014 and I kind of got, distracted by the day-to-day myself. Honestly, I hired a ghostwriter because I thought to myself, I want this to get done and I've got all this content in my head. I know that it's going to be valuable, but if I don't hire somebody who knows how to write a book, who knows how to get it structured and put it on, Amazon, it probably won't get done. So we were missing that competence pillar internally, I would say. And that's why we hired someone to help us. And then the 4th pillar is really the structure. So, if we are really aligned, we know what we're supposed to do, we have the time, we now have the competence, do we have a methodology to just keep it moving? Are we just going to waste time getting started? Or are we going to be transparent in our measurements and know that we're making progress? Will we accomplish the results at the end of the quarter? So that's the 4th pillar.
Yeah. And, there's so many guests who've come on My Favorite Mistake, and, their favorite mistake was something along the lines of like trying to do it all themselves. And that could be a mistake when it comes to a business or a book. You're running the business, and AJC and the Executagility Company are separate businesses.
AJC Company owns the Executagility Company. But yes, they're separate because AJC will deliver services and the Executagility Company will hopefully be delivering this model through tools, training, and coaching so that other companies can insource, again, that capability of executing their growth projects on their own.
Yeah. So you're running a company with multiple businesses, and there's a lot of day-to-day, I can imagine. So getting help to bring a book to market and to continue marketing the book. I don't like the phrase self-publishing because hopefully you're not doing it yourself. You can be the project manager, you can hire a project manager. There are a lot of different models, but my general piece of advice is, get help. It's okay. The book could be better and you'll probably get it done more quickly as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I would have done it when I started that book in 2014, because then it would have been done by now and I'd let it go. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And when we think of the life cycle of the book, it's been out for a while. It's available on Amazon. There's positive reviews. Any mistakes that you made in anywhere in the book life cycle here so far?
Yes, and I appreciate the alignment to your theme. There's always mistakes to learn from. The one specifically for this book, so I've been presenting on this topic of execute agility and describing the model with Vistage groups, which are CEO roundtable groups across the country in that exact demographic of mid-life cycle, typically. And at the end of the presentation, of course, I have a little call to action survey, which they will use their phone and take the QR code. And of course, the goal of the survey is to understand who might benefit from additional follow-up from us, including being sent the specific link to buy the book or meeting with me or going to a workshop. But of course, I'm trying to improve that survey over time. And here's my mistake. In Typeform, you can ask questions, and at the end, you can put in the demographic information you want, like the email, the phone number, the name. But I didn't realize that it takes every question and puts it in a column with a specific answer. So my first question was something about, would you like to be reached out to in these ways? And I started with 5 ways, and I realized that was too many. So I cut it down to 3. But what happened when I cut it down to 3 is it pulled up all the other things, and I lost all the emails.
Oh.
I lost all the emails from when there were 5 responses when I pulled it into 3, because it just pulled everything over and then it just eliminated the
Did you lose the data? You mean the past data?
Yeah,
or
all the data
is
is totally gone in Typeform. So I would like anybody to know who uses Typeform that it will overwrite previous data with existing. So those columns are blank. The good news is that anyone who previously said they wanted to at least be in our newsletter, we captured that in our MailChimp account. So we were able to, but not everybody wanted to be in MailChimp. Some of them, or a newsletter, some of them only wanted a conversation or were interested in a workshop. And so now I'm doing a new workshop, and I was going back to this list to see, and I found that it was gone. So that was a mistake, Mark. Pretty big one. Whoops.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. And I mean, the iteration is natural of adjusting the number of questions and wanting to do that. I mean, it seems like software platforms should really warn you of, hey, this is you're going to lose data. Are you sure? Yeah.
I am also wondering if I should go to Typeform and say, if somebody put in that they want an email, a name, and a phone number, that data and those columns should be preserved independent of any other, question. But I didn't think it would do that. But that is what it did. And I only found out after we talked more recently. So when you asked me to think about a mistake for this conversation, I was like, well, here's a pretty good one.
Well, hopefully Typeform would be open to that feedback and not just blame user error, because I'm with you. I wouldn't have expected that.
That's right. It's the incompetence of my understanding, I suppose, of Typeform. But it's live and learn, Mark, right? That's what we're all about.
And applying the Execute Agility model. But thank you for sharing the mistake and sharing the spirit of learning from those mistakes. So again, we've been joined by Andrea Jones from AJC and the Executagility Company. Go back to episode 105. You can go to markgraban.com/mistake105 if you want to hear Andrea's favorite mistake story. And again, her book available now. There'll be links in the show notes. It's the Executagility Field Guide, How Busy Teams Can Execute Growth Plans. So Andrea, again, thank you for being here, and congrats again on the book.
Thanks, Mark.